It was an amazing experience going to Placentia and working on Glen's Florograph. Just the fact that they chose our son, I was just so privileged and honored.
I thought it'd be a great experience to be part of a huge event. I was a little overwhelmed when they told us what we were going to actually do. We're going to do a Florograph just off of a picture, and at first I just wanted to back off and let somebody else do it, but after we got started on it, putting it all together, it got a little bit easier as we went along.
We had this picture and we had to personify how Glen was. Wanted to make sure that we were exact and perfect on how his picture looked for the float. And it was emotional. You were with the other families who were doing the same thing, and just kind of seeing how everybody was just so intent on trying to make their loved one look as perfect as possible.
Yeah, all in all, it was an awesome experience for a day to go down to do the Florograph.
When we arrived in Pasadena, we went to where the float was being built, and just to see this in person was just awesome. It was just this big, beautiful mechanical float.
You had people up on scaffolds, just everybody scrambling around in a huge warehouse building all sorts of different floats, but our focus was on the Gift of Time float.
And then we also got to participate in decorating the float. So we got to help put flowers on, and it was an incredible experience. Just so much activity was going on. It was just like sensory overload. And it was such a labor of love. So that's just amazing to see how much goes into one of those floats. We watch it on TV every year, and you just do not realize
how much work goes into it, and countless hours that people volunteer to make these floats come together.
So one of the really, really nice ceremony that we had done was the rose dedication. So we got to write a loving note to Glen, and we set it in with the other families who have dedicated a flower to their loved ones, and those all aligned around the float. We all came together. You had families that had lost loved ones, and then you had recipients who are alive today because of donors. And so it was just really neat to get to know everybody, hear their stories, tell our stories. We were a family with everyone who helped participate in the float.
And we got to sit with the other families. It was a familiar crowd that we'd spent the last few days with when it came to watching the float actually come by at the Rose Parade.
And then just everyone cheering, and it was just very emotional to see Glen up on the, right at the top, underneath the bird's head. The theme this year was making a difference. And Donate Life theme was a gift of time. And that is so fitting because the donor families, they got to see their loved ones extending another person's life. When we received the call that Glen was in the accident, and then the next call right away was that he had passed away, and One Legacy had called and said that Glen was a registered organ donor, and are we good with that? And I said, yes, absolutely. And I think that is so important that people make that decision ahead of time, because that really, really relieves the family. Just knowing that that is something that he had planned, that was his wish, made that decision so easy for me.
Him being able to pass on his legacy gave me a lot of comfort in accepting the tragedy. It just made it easier to go through.
This whole process has helped us heal. There'll always be a hole in our hearts. This has just given us strength to move forward, knowing that, he's done good. It's just part of a healing process. We would just love to say thank you to JJ's Legacy for bestowing this tremendous honor on our son, and thank you to the community for their support. And please check the box to register to be an eye, tissue, and organ donor. Go to jjslegacy.org.